Alrighty, let's go ahead and get started. I have a lot of good news today, actually more than normal, so that's good. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. This is a walkout of students in Loudoun County, Virginia. There were I don't know, a couple different schools in Loudoun County that walked out and protested them covering up that rape. So here's the students standing their ground and walked out. This was yesterday, actually. So they're saying Loudoun County protects rapists. Now there are other images of this. This doesn't look like a lot of students, but there's other images with more students. There's a video of them walking out, and it looks like it's, I don't know, at least 75 of them or something like that. But that's good. That's good to see students getting involved in this situation, because how can they feel safe when the people that are supposed to protect them, educate them, all that good stuff, are protecting a rapist, all in the name of passing a transgender bill? I mean, this is ridiculous. And then the guy running for governor, obviously, he's not going to do anything about it. I mean, look at the sitting governor, Governor Blackface Northam. He did nothing about this. Now, the kid is getting charged with a crime, but this only is happening because it got uncovered. But they try to cover it up so they could pass a transgender bill for whatever reason. We don't know. Other good news. This is great news. Ron DeSantis critics quiet as Florida's COVID cases drop. We have the lowest COVID cases in the entire country. Remember, not that long ago, 2 months ago, in fact, in August, they were slamming Ron DeSantis. There were so many campaign ads and hit pieces. Remember that stupid, cringe hit piece with the, welcome to Florida, where you're going to die. And they try to make it seem like tourists aren't safe here. And then they took the worst sound bites of the governor saying, you're free to choose. You're free to make your own decisions. We're not going to get in the way. They use that to try to say, look how dangerous he is. He's saying you can be free. I mean, that was 2 months ago. And now look, lowest cases in the nation. So this is great news. Now, if you look at this Yahoo headline, Florida now has America's lowest COVID rate. Does Ron DeSantis deserve credit? I don't know. Yahoo, does he deserve credit? We all know if it were Governor Cuomo, he would probably get another Emmy for it. They would celebrate him. Hey, here's a book deal. Come on, let's talk to you in the press. Let's parade you around like you're a saint. But no, does he deserve credit? Yeah, actually he does, for his promotion of monoclonal antibodies and the fact that he let people be free to make their own decisions. And look, this is what happened. This is the result when you let people govern their own affairs. So yes, that's the answer, Yahoo. Yes, he deserves plenty of credit for that, maintaining freedom while also getting past the worst of a public health crisis. And we knew that this was going to happen. I mean, in the summer months, it was going to be higher here. In the winter months, it's going to be higher up north. So, I mean, yes, good news, though. Really good news here. It looks like they're going to scrap that plan to spy on your bank accounts. They're not going to be able to do this because, Joe Manchin, once again, coming in the clutch. I mean, why is he a Democrat? I just don't get it.
Hey, Scott, I've learned through sources familiar with the matter that a controversial proposal for banks to report to the IRS cash flow information for accounts with under $10,000 has officially been removed from the $1.5 trillion social spending package. Now, the removal comes after comments yesterday from West Virginia moderate Democrat Joe Manchin, where he suggested that Uncle Sam should not be in bank accounts and suggested that the president, Joe Biden, shared his view on that matter. The White House had previously defended that proposal as a way to essentially monitor the bank accounts of the wealthy and crack down on potential tax evasion. And negotiators had estimated that that proposal could raise about $100 billion toward paying for the overall cost of this package. Unclear what, if anything, will be put in the place of that proposal to raise that figure of money, but certainly comes after the financial industry has been really fighting against this, despite the White House saying that it's needed. But officially, Scott, according to 3 sources familiar with the matter, this controversial bank reporting proposal is out of this package.
All right.
Scott?
All right.
I'm just going to go on a limb and say it, guys. I think I like Joe Manchin better than most Republicans, and he's a Democrat. I don't know what all of his stances are on abortion and whatever else. But he seems to be holding up the majority of their agenda. And the fact that a lot of Democrats and the left and the media hate him must mean he's doing something right. So, no, I don't think he should join the Republican Party. No, because as soon as he does, then his reputation will be tainted. At least now he's still a Democrat. So he's kind of like, I won't say on our side, on the side of freedom and protecting the Constitution or whatever else. But I mean, he's definitely not on board with the agenda. He's definitely not. He's holding it up. So, and he's doing more work than Republicans are. What is this? A Democrat doing this? Joe Manchin, props to Joe Manchin. That's all I can say. Like the guy. And one of his comments is said, Mr. President, I don't know what happened. This cannot happen. This is screwed up. And he said, do you understand how messed up it is to think Uncle Sam is going to be watching? So I think it's going to be gone, said the West Virginia Democrat. So props to Joe Manchin. What a guy. More good news. Joe Biden, when he went to campaign for, what is this guy's name? McLaughlin, whatever. I still can't pronounce his name. I think what screws me up when I'm trying to say his name is when I'm reading it. It looks really weird. The way it's spelled, it just looks weird versus how you pronounce it. Anyway, here he is campaigning for the guy yesterday, and it sounds like he might be at a Trump rally. I don't know. You can make the determination yourself.
Let him go. Let him go. That's okay. That's all right. Why don't you hang out and talk to me after this is over, okay? Thank you. Look. Got your back. That's right. This is not a Trump rally. Let him go. Let him go. That's okay.
Now, it does maybe sound like we love Joe, but I think that I heard, and this could just be my bias, I think I heard we want Trump or we love Trump, but they could be saying Joe now that I'm hearing it again. So I'll play it again for you guys. But it sounds like the very least, there were people there that were making their voices heard that don't like Biden. We know that much. But it sounds like the crowd starts to chant, we love Trump. So I'll play it again.
That's all right. Why don't you hang out and talk to me after this is over, okay? Thank you. Look. Got your back. That's right. This is not a Trump rally. Let him go.
Anyway, he's like, this is not a Trump rally. Sure sounds like it. Sure sounds like it there, buddy. So he can't go anywhere, guys. Most popular president in United States history, but can't go anywhere without meeting people who don't like him. Just can't go anywhere. It's impossible. Now, this is, I covered this yesterday. He spreading germs again. So after he coughed into his hand and then went and shook a bunch of hands, got in people's faces, he then goes to this rally, gets super close, and spits on a woman. Spit flew out of his mouth, and we got the receipt right here. We can play it in slow-mo. He spit on a woman and completely just disregarded her space, which that's par for the course with him. Look at, there it is right there. Gotta play it again. It's disgusting. Nobody can deny this. The spit flying out of his mouth right there. All up in her face, no mask, none of this. 2 days in a row. Literal super spreader. This is a literal super spreader event. Now, will we find out that this woman caught something? Who knows? But imagine anybody else doing that and getting away with it. See, this is the whole thing. The optics are just terrible. The optics do not help continue to drag this pandemic on. We're in this public health crisis. It's a public health emergency where it's a pandemic of the unvaccinated. Stop killing people because of your freedom. You know, this brings an important debate to mind, something that I'm kind of going through. I'll go ahead and share it with you guys. There are family members that think that it's irresponsible for me to not get vaccinated. They want me to get vaccinated before we take my son to go meet his great-grandfather. So, you know, they're just like concerned. And I'm like, hey, we're happy to take, you know, COVID tests. I'm happy to take the PCR test to prove that I don't have it, right? To put families' mind at ease, I'm happy to do that, right? But ask yourself this. Who is more likely to spread the virus? Is it somebody who's working from home, living in an area that doesn't have a lot of population? I don't hardly go anywhere. And when I do, I basically quarantined for 14 days after I traveled to go to an RSBN event. I pretty much quarantined, right? And then I don't go anywhere. I don't do anything. So what's worse, me or somebody who may be double vaccinated, and then they go to concerts and festivals and parties, and they're hanging out in giant groups, and they're eating pizza all the time, and they're not taking care of their health, and their immune system is weakened, but they're double vaccinated. Who's engaged in high risk behavior? Who are you more likely to get sick from? Whether that be COVID or strep throat or anything else. Is it the person who is engaged in high risk behavior, kind of having a careless attitude, or somebody who never goes anywhere? Do you see? That's just kind of my point here. So here's Biden. Here's the guy who's the figurehead, the talking head of this pandemic. He keeps it going with his rhetoric, not following the rules. I mean, this is disgusting before COVID. The fact that we're going through a public health crisis doesn't make this more disgusting. This was disgusting for all of eternity. This has always been disgusting, to get in someone's face and spit on them. I don't get this close to people, certainly not strangers, but here he is in a stranger's face spitting on her. Where's the media? Where's the outrage? Where's the coverage? This is dangerous. This is a super spreader event. Officially, that's super spreading behavior right there. They always want to talk about Trump rallies. Look at all the super spreaders. They're keeping the pandemic going. Here's a maskless man who's been coughing, who doesn't look well, who literally just spit his germs on another person. Where's his mask? Where's his social distancing? But he's going to get up there and tell you how terrible you are because you won't get medicine he wants you to have. Clown world. And this is only like the 5th time that he's violated somebody's privacy, sniffed children, grabbed children, get all up in people's faces all the time, on camera, unapologetically. Nobody holds him accountable. But you know what? People can see this. This is going to be shared all over social media. I would love to see people go ahead and bury their heads in the sand, or try to just pass it off. Whatever. It's just one thing. Whatever. It's one time. He's still building back better. He's still better than Trump. Knowing damn well if this was Trump, you would be outraged from sunup to sundown. People would be talking about this. He's keeping this pandemic going. Look at how dangerous Donald Trump is right now. He's defying COVID restrictions. Look at him. That's what I'm saying. Either we're in a public health emergency or we're not. You can't have it both ways. You can't have your talking head here spitting on people, coughing into his hands, and then going to touch people. You know, I can't wait. As soon as my son is old enough, I'm going to teach him not to cough in his hands and then go touch people. I mean, my parents taught me that. Wash your hands, keep a distance from people, don't get too close to people. Be careful with doorknobs and stuff. If you're going to touch something that people touch regularly, make sure you wash your hands. Keep hand sanitizer. Little, basic common sense stuff that we've all known to be true. But now all of a sudden, we just have to look the other way when the guy keeping this entire thing going is over here spreading his germs. And I'm willing to bet if anybody gets sick from this event, you probably won't hear about it. They'll downplay it because it looks awful. But will you hear Trevor Noah talk about it tonight? What about Seth Meyers? What about Jimmy Kimmel? No, they'll lash out at you and say you shouldn't be allowed in a restaurant if you don't get that shot. Regardless of how you live your life, regardless if you're healthy or not, regardless of if you're taking the proper precautions to keep yourself and others safe, if you don't have Big Pharma's latest product, you're more of a threat to society and public health than a man who just spit on someone. Moving on to Dr. Deborah Birx. Remember her, the scarf lady? It was her and Fauci whose medical expertise led to the forced closure of our country and bankrupting of businesses, closing of churches, and just, all of the chaos that ensued from that. Here she is saying that Trump could have done more with the COVID crisis. So she's taken the time to slam Trump a year later, saying he didn't do enough to promote masking, social distancing, et cetera, et cetera. Well, Deborah Birx, I wonder what you have to say about the current commander-in-chief and what he could be doing to slow the spread, because he just spit on someone. I mean, do you have to have a medical degree or be a super duper galaxy brain scientist to know that that's not healthy? That's spreading germs, and that doesn't help slow the spread of COVID or any other virus or infection for that matter. So Deborah Birx wants to go on record and slam Trump, saying it's the biggest failure of public health policy lies directly at the hands of the officials who recommended lockdowns. So yeah, this is Deborah Birx being a complete fraud. And not to mention this little piece of history from last year, Deborah Birx is slammed for hypocrisy after she ignored her own Thanksgiving advice and traveled to her Delaware vacation home with 3 generations of her family from 2 different households. Remember when that was a thing last year? You cannot gather with different generations of people in different areas. You can't travel. You got to just keep it just you and the people in your household. There was a whole thing like if you live with your grandparents or your parents are of age where they're more vulnerable, you should quarantine within your house. So here was Deborah Birx last year before the vaccine, traveled, did all this stuff, and she was one of many people. So what did Deborah Birx do to slow the spread? What did she do to help us get through besides be a gigantic hypocrite? I'm glad she's not in the public eye anymore. She misled Trump big time, big time. California county shuts down In-N-Out over vaccine verification. So this is the second In-N-Out that has been closed in California. And this one's closed indefinitely. It says Contra Costa County health officials indefinitely shut down the Pleasant Hill restaurant after it ignored repeated warnings to verify that customers who wanted to dine indoors had vaccination cards or proof they had tested negative for the virus in the past 72 hours. You know, if these health officials are so concerned about one restaurant enforcing their vaccine mandate, why don't they do it themselves? Why don't you dedicate some staff, some health officials to stand outside of a restaurant and make them show their papers before they can enter? Why don't you take it up? So this is so important to you. Why don't y'all do it? But they won't. So I feel like right now what you're going to see, because In-N-Out has already made it known that they're not going to enforce this mandate, the vaccine passport. Since that's already known, it's public information, I think they're just going to target In-N-Out. That's what I think it is. They're going to go and try to shut down other In-N-Outs. And I think this is ultimately going to end up in court, because how can you then close the business because they won't comply with what you're already doing to violate the Constitution? Then you're going to force them out of business. So I think In-N-Out has enough money where they can battle this out in court. But imagine this being just some mom and pop shop getting shut down. I think that that would be a problem. So there's going to be a lot that goes on as far as court battles and cases and stuff like this. And I just think In-N-Out is a good example of something that we can follow easily to see how it plays out. But this isn't going to be the last. So this was In-N-Out's official statement last week, if you guys didn't know. They said, "We refuse to become the vaccination police for any government. It is unreasonable, invasive, and unsafe to force our restaurant associates to segregate customers into those who may be served and those who may not." So that was an official In-N-Out statement. And they're right about that, because how are you going to then make your employees go beyond their scope to deny someone service? That does create an unsafe situation, because what if the person they're denying service to happens to be one of the criminals that just got let out because of a Soros prosecutor or judge, or just somebody who's unhinged in a bad mood and they decide to get violent? What if they decide to vandalize? What if they happen to be a prominent figure, somebody with a gigantic social media following that then discourages business from In-N-Out? So that's them making a business decision. And I guess probably what's going to happen in the short term, if this restaurant is allowed to reopen, is they just won't allow anyone to dine in, because that's better than them having to discriminate and decide who can dine in and who can't. It's just like, fine, nobody can. Go to the drive-thru or come to the walk-up window or whatever they have for people to order. So In-N-Out, that's 2 restaurants now, and maybe this will prompt them, maybe, just maybe, to relocate, at least build a few restaurants in Florida. We'd be so grateful. Moving on. Actor arrested for defacing George Floyd's sculpture. Micah Beals has been charged with criminal mischief. He's the actor from CSI and Y, because he pretty much defaced this George Floyd statue that was built in like Union Square, New York City, with like some paint and some other stuff, oils or whatever. And so he's being charged and he has to go to court because it's a super serious thing. He's probably going to get charged with it. They might slap on some more charges. Criminal mischief is the charge, but probably some kind of hate crime. Now, they say that George Floyd, his name is synonymous with justice. When people think of George Floyd, they think of justice, how it was served, and it's such a landmark case, and he is just a civil rights icon. When I look at George Floyd, when I think of George Floyd, I will always remember the destruction and violence that took place after his death. That's what's going to stand out to me. So many black people, 24 or 25, I forget the number, 24 to 25 black people were killed during the George Floyd riots, including David Dorn, a former police officer, black man, trying to protect his friend's business, murdered on Facebook Live, just killed, just discarded. Did anyone talk about that? Was there any march or protest? Was there a statue made of David Dorn? No, there wasn't. They don't care because they don't care about black people unless it can advance their political agenda, if it can help them sell merch, if they can get TV ratings, if it helps promote racial division, which is another big fallout from George Floyd's death. It just helped amplify the calls for critical race theory and all the propaganda that's been used since then. So that's what I'm going to think of. And many people, I speak on behalf of millions of people when I say that I will never look at George Floyd's death as something synonymous with justice. It's more synonymous with violence, riots, crime waves, lawlessness, and political power grabs. That's what George Floyd's name is synonymous with. That's why politicians thanked him for dying. That is exactly what that is. So all the people that pretend we celebrate George Floyd's life, we're going to go to George Floyd Square every year to celebrate his life. What do you even know about George Floyd's life? He's just a dude. What did you know about him? Half the people that celebrate George Floyd's life, they're really celebrating his death. Because if they knew anything about his life, they would know that he was a criminal with a long rap sheet who held a pregnant woman at gunpoint. Not exactly a good person. Unlike maybe David Dorn, who was a police officer. See, they always have to pick the worst, most unsavory characters to celebrate. You pick George Floyd, you pick Fauci, you pick Andrew Cuomo. And I'm supposed to be mad. I'm supposed to see myself in George Floyd. That's what they're saying. Like, the black people that did not, resonate with the George Floyd situation. Like, I don't see myself in a criminal drug addict resisting arrest, trying to pass a fake $20 bill or whatever it was. Regardless of the fact, I'm not saying he deserved to die. That's not what I'm saying. I know people hear what they want to hear. The people who worship St. Floyd and people who have are led by their emotions, they're only going to hear you're a coon, Uncle Tom, and you hate your race, and you thinking George Floyd should have died. I'm not saying that at all. The whole situation was really screwed up, is messed up. I don't think he should have died. But at the same time, he was overdosing on drugs and resisting arrest. So we don't even need to rehash all of the details of the case because mob rule led to the conviction of Derek Chauvin. And I just don't want to relive it. But the fact that somebody now is being charged for throwing paint on it, when you got statues of people who opposed slavery that are in question of being removed. They're trying to remove statues of Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson. They're removing statues of all kind of iconic figures. They took down a statue of Frederick Douglass. But let's put up a statue of George Floyd. Where's the statue of Martin Luther King? We know that they're around, but you're starting to see more of these. Before you know it, in the Biden regime, they're going to make a George Floyd holiday. Mark my words, that will happen. Guaranteed. They'll probably do it next year because then they can campaign on it. Hey, look, vote for us. We just made George Floyd a holiday. a paid government holiday. That's what's going to happen next. And that'll be sick. That'll be just disgusting. The way that they're going to tell history, because they control what goes in the history books, they're going to basically propel George Floyd into the civil rights movement as if he was such an iconic figure, knowing damn well he was a career criminal drug addict. So they're more concerned with people who are defacing his statues and murals than they are with the actual criminals. The criminals that committed all of the violence and crime during the riots of last summer. Talk about priorities. So that's all I can really say about it. This is just disgusting. I hope this guy I hope he doesn't get convicted of whatever this stupid charge is. Not totally mad at him for destroying this, even though it is technically someone's private property. I don't support that, but hey, at least understand where he's coming from with that. Okay, so moving on. United States issues its first passport with gender X marker. Again, the priorities of the US government is to make sure that we have passports that have gender X on them. I don't know how other countries are going to see this because, I mean, if you're getting a passport, you're trying to travel abroad, go international somewhere. What does that do for, like, I don't know, if you're going to a country that's more conservative and they just don't acknowledge this gender X, they're going to want to know, are you a boy or a girl? What were you born as? Okay, that's what you are. That's what you are to us. We're not playing this game. So the U.S. Special Diplomatic Envoy for the LGBTQ rights, Jessica Stern, called the move historic and celebratory, saying that bringing the government documents in line with the lived reality that there is a wider spectrum of human sex characteristics than is reflected in previous two designations. So this is in line with the lived experience. Say, when a person obtains identity documents that reflect their true identity, they live with greater dignity and respect, Stern said. I find that a little bit hard to believe. And what are we doing? We're pandering to like 15 people. What percentage of the country is on board with this? I mean, this is kind of crazy. It's weird. The priorities are really screwed up here. And she's just saying basically that, now that this has been socially engineered effectively, and we're just having all these new trans and non-binary people just growing from trees, just coming out of the woodworks. Now everybody's becoming trans and non-binary. Now that that's a thing, thanks to social engineering and propaganda and everything else, part of the dark agenda. Now let's just go ahead and normalize it with passports and ID cards and everything else. I mean, this is crazy. I don't ever think about my driver's license and feel like it's a part of my true identity. The only thing I think about is, why does the photo never look the way that I look? The photo on my driver's license has always looked a little bit off. That's the only thing I ever think about. So yeah, we see this as a way of affirming and uplifting human rights, trans and intersex and gender non-conforming and non-binary people everywhere. Yes, all 25 to 30. I know there's probably more than that. I'm just saying, this is only new. This wasn't like even 10 years ago, this wasn't a thing. And now all of a sudden we got to have federal documents, government documents that say that you're nobody, you're no gender. I'm not going to play along with this. I can't do it. I won't play along. This is not real. I want my country back when things were normal and we just had two genders and that was what we all knew and it was backed by science and it wasn't a thing. It wasn't controversial, but now they got to just change everything, just completely subvert reality. I don't want to live in that version of reality, so I'm not going to. All right, this is going to be the hardest story that I am covering today. Father of child with Down syndrome says mask was tied around his daughter's head. This is from last week. I don't know how this was not on my radar because I've covered several stories of the abuse of children and the mishandling of power granted to teachers. So this is a sad story that I just want to see consequences. That's all. The only reason I'm reporting on it is so that more people know and that we can raise awareness about the continued abuse of children.
There's a special place in hell for these people who have done this to this man's daughter.
The concerned parent says a teacher tied a mask around the face of his special needs daughter.
The mask was quite tight on her face, which was, of course, obstructing her ability to speak and her ability to breathe.
Well, that father is blaming the school mask mandates for his daughter Sophia's suffering.
Fox 35's Holly Bristow spoke with him today. And Holly, he's hoping change comes as a result of what happened to his daughter.
He certainly is. And tonight he tells me that he's speaking out in hopes that this does not happen to another special needs child. He tells me his daughter with Down syndrome is non-communicative and was unable to tell her parents that this was even happening.
I was quite angry, so I waited 4 days from the Thursday the 7th until Tuesday after Columbus Day to go in and speak because I really needed to calm down.
Jeff Steele is talking about his family's reaction when his 7-year-old Sophia, who suffers from Down syndrome, came home from Ocean Breeze Elementary School with a mask tied around her head.
When this child got off the bus and had the mask, it was tied around the back of her head underneath her ponytail. And it was quite tight around her face.
He says it was tied so tight she struggled to talk and even breathe.
Medically, it's very dangerous for her to do that. She could aspirate, she could asphyxiate, all sorts of medical things that could happen as a result of that, which would then, forcing her breathing because of her enlarged tongue, it could also cause seizures.
The father says he always assumed Sophia was exempt from the mask mandate because of her disability. He's furious no one from the school ever called him.
Why in the world, since the mandate happened back in September and you were going to begin to put this on my child and now then tie it on my child, would you never pick up the phone and call me and ask me to give me my informed consent, which never happened, which legislation and the IEP requirements require them to do, and they did not follow that.
State Representative Randy Fine weighed in on this situation.
There's a special place in hell for these people who have done this to this man's daughter.
Fine blames school board members who voted for mandatory masks, namely Jennifer Jenkins.
You watch a state representative say there's a special place in hell for me on television is disturbing.
We reached out to Brevard County Schools about this situation. Here's what they said to us. The student was given a mask exemption as soon as the parents made the request to the school leadership. The school district is investigating the allegations made by the family. BPS strives to ensure each student has the best educational experience possible and will continue in that effort. For now, live in studio, Holly Bristow.
When are heads going to roll for this? When are we going to see consequences? Somebody needs to go to jail for this. This is child abuse. And this is like what, the 4th or 5th case that I've brought up of either a child having a face mask taped on, a plastic bag covering their head when they go to the hospital. And now you see they're putting a mask and tying it on with a rope over a special needs girl with Down syndrome. And when there's actually a more detailed video where that state rep explain everything that the father told him, because he reached out to the father, talked to him directly. Governor DeSantis is aware of this. If you guys aren't aware, I didn't mention this at the beginning. This is in Florida, where we don't have a mask mandate. These are school boards going around the governor's executive order. I believe it's even state law now or something, where you cannot force masks, but they're going around the governor to do this. And so not only are they doing that, defying state order, they're masking children with special needs, forcing the mask on, leaving the parents out. So he said that the child came home, Sophia did, and she had saliva all in the mask and she had trouble breathing. But we're supposed to believe this is about health. We're trying to save kids' lives. This is get out of the way, Republicans. You guys are super spreaders. You're trying to kill our kids, but you're over there hog tying a mask around a kid's face with special needs. This is one of the worst of all of them. This is the worst by far, the worst. The girl that can't even talk. 7 years old, and they're masking her face and forcing it, leaving the dad out of the equation completely. How is this not viral? How is this not being covered by, I don't see this even on Fox News. I don't see anybody talking about it. Not on Daily Wire, not on Zero Hedge, Breitbart. I don't see anybody talking about it. And this is from last week. Maybe that's because they talked about it last week and I'm just now hearing about it. But this is this is so disturbing. This is not about health. These people are psychotic. And what's wrong with saying there's a special place in hell for you? Yeah, there actually is. If you're going to abuse children, yeah, there is a special place in hell for you. Absolutely, there is. 100%. And so for that school board member to get all offended and butthurt, how is that a bigger deal than the fact that you just allowed this to happen when you weren't even supposed to be masking children in the first place? So this is in Brevard County. For those of you that live in Florida, I'm not sure what school, but I just know it's in Brevard County. I think there should be protests every day outside of that school board until somebody resigns, until charges are brought, because this is wrong. This is wrong, and it's illegal, and it's child abuse above everything else. Even if somebody who is super addicted to masks, like, yes, mask, everyone, mask all the children. Even if somebody could point and say, actually, it's not against the law, it's still child abuse. It's still child abuse, and it's denying the parents' rights, informed consent. They did it without the dad's consent. But the state rep who spoke on behalf of the father said that the school at one point called the father a few weeks back because the girl was taking her shoes off in school. And they called him to say, hey, can you help us out? Sophia keeps taking her shoes off in school. We want her to keep the shoes on. They called him to get help in his guidance for that, but not for the mask that they tied around her head. So let that one sink in for you guys. Again, this is Brevard County, Florida. Not far from where I used to live. Actually, it's not far away at all. I don't know what school it is, but the school board in Brevard County, there should be hell to pay. There should be people protesting this right now as we speak. Sick people. This is sick. It's not about health. It's about control. It's about psychologically damaging kids. They can't see smiles anymore. What's germier than let me not even go there. I'll piss off the YouTube overlords. And that's why I said this is the toughest story that I had to cover today. So yeah, that's what's going on in a state when we're not even supposed to be masking children. So yeah, that woman, she must feel some type of way because that must be the guilt eating away at her to be mad that someone said there's a special place in hell for those who abuse children. Where's the lie, lady? Crazies. Last story, and then we'll get to the comments. Man arrested for threatening to kill Matt Gaetz worked for CNN, ABC, and NBC. What a shocker. So this happened in January. There was a guy who got like 5 Emmy nominations for his work on NBC's Late Night with Conan O'Brien. And most recently, he was working at CNN. He called and left a voicemail for Matt Gaetz in January with a lot of expletives and threats saying that I'm coming for you. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to put a bullet in your head and your kids too. Left a voicemail. This was January. This was after January 6th too. And this is just now coming out. It's just now getting arrested. So yeah, interesting stuff here. But not a shocker. Remember when they, almost killed Steve Scalise, and you didn't see a lot of outrage there. People fomenting all this hate and this division. It needs to stop. I don't like anybody receiving any kind of death threats. I wouldn't, if this was AOC receiving death threats and it was credible, it wasn't her making something up, then I would condemn it. I'd say, no, that's wrong. You shouldn't threaten her life. That wouldn't resonate with my spirit if I endorsed it. Some of you might feel different. Some of you might feel, yeah, the Democrats some things should happen to them. I would disavow you completely if you think that. How do you feel good about yourself if you would want that to happen to somebody else? But nonetheless, you don't really hear much about it when it's a Republican. There's not the same level of outrage and energy and outcry and support. Nobody's going to give their support for Matt Gaetz because he's a Republican, because they don't like him. But then if Republicans don't say anything, if it happens to a Democrat, they're like, the GOP is silent as extremists and terrorists continue to make threats against Democrats. That's what the headlines would be. But since it's Matt Gaetz, they're like, shh. And what were you going to find out about the guy? I wonder what there is to know about the guy who threatened his life. I'm just curious about it. My buddy sent me a photo today of what looks like federales caught in Klan gear, Nazi swastika stuff. It looks like the same alphabet boys from that Justice for J6 rally. There's a photo of them in the car. I wish I had sent it to myself. Then I could actually, maybe I'll pull it up so we can look at it together and you guys can see what is happening here. Hold on. Bear with me for a second. I think this is kind of important. Let me go back to my text here. And there is a tweet regarding this. Hold on. All right, I'm gonna pull up this photo for you guys here. I'll pull it off screen so y'all can't see what's going on my phone here. All right. Open. Okay, here it is. Can y'all see that? The tweet says, you need to see this. Neo-Nazis staged a rally in San Antonio today. A van load of 9 of them unfurled a banner on a highway overpass blaming Jews for the vax, but something ain't right. They sort of look like those feds, the MAGA rally in D.C. a few weeks ago. I mean, there are similarities there. I'm not saying that these are the guys, but does this look at the guys here on the left? Do they look like some, for real, like we're some white supremacists, let's go and hang up Nazi stuff? This is not a widespread thing. This is why they have to continue to manufacture it. This is why they have to manufacture domestic terrorism and hatred in the country, because it doesn't exist. There's a supply and demand issue with them. For the people that think America's this horrible racist country, they shouldn't have to manufacture this kind of stuff. This looks completely staged. These look like LARPers for real. Now, I don't know when this is from. There's no date on this tweet or where this photo was taken or anything like that, but it's very interesting. We're finding out more and more every day that the feds are involved in subverting freedom movements, patriot movements, and trying to make them look bad and setting like honeypot traps and trying to get people caught up. The feds are setting up American citizens. We see you. We see what you're doing. You're not even slick about it. Try to be better about this. You're getting caught. It doesn't look good. It's not working. And so, yeah, that's what I have to say. That's what I think. This looks like some fake false flag planning stuff. That's what it looks like to me. All right. Now let's get to some comments. I've said everything I need to say. Get to some comments here. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Thank you for the super chat from Shirley. God bless you, Shirley. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yep, blaming MAGA patriots. That's what they're doing here. I mean, it's just so obvious. I mean, we heard about it. They've gotten caught. We know for a fact they got caught with the Gretchen Whitmer kidnap attempt. We know for a fact the guy that set it up, he got arrested for abusing his wife. That was an FBI agent. FBI agents subverted the January 6th thing, encouraged people to go inside the building. And then we see the videos emerge of people just peacefully walking in, being let in, telling them where to go, directing traffic. It looked like people were taking a tour. January 6th is unraveling. Yeah, it is completely unraveling. But you know what? The gatekeepers in the media are going to keep that at the forefront of everyone's mind going into 2022. Watch. We'll go back to this stream on January 6th, 2022. They're going to say this is the anniversary of the worst thing to happen since Pearl Harbor, since 9/11, since the Civil War. Even Joe Biden yesterday at his little campaign rally for that guy, that governor, the guy running for governor of Virginia. He says, nobody breached the Capitol even during the Civil War. It's the worst thing to happen in Washington, D.C. and I don't know how long. Well, considering he was alive during the Civil War, he should know that plenty of things happened since then in Washington, D.C., including bombings. There were bombings in Washington, D.C. in the 70s. I mean, we had a terrorist attack in Washington, D.C. on 9/11, 2001. You would think Hunter Biden's dad would remember that. But no. January 6th is the worst thing to happen on American soil. Period. Even though all the evidence is to the contrary. It's not the worst thing to happen. Not even close. It's a nothing burger. That's what somebody said. Yeah, it actually is. You know what I mean? It just is. Who's spamming, Rachel? Who is spamming? Whoever's spamming is out of here. Give me the name of the person spamming and they're gone. It's really that simple. Zero tolerance for spammers. But I see you guys posting, please don't spam. The Dems are always planting obstacles in order to try and blemish President Trump's legacy. They're afraid of Trump. They really are afraid. They're still afraid. That's why Kamala Harris has to stop the steal. They're concerned about him because they know he's coming back. Biden's a spam head. Have a show about the container ships that are going to unload massive amounts of narcotics when they finally unload. I haven't heard about it. Send me an article. MikeNificent813@gmail.com. My DMs are open as well. They are afraid of the people more than Trump. That is why they are doing everything in their power to put people in fear. That's very true. That's a really, really accurate, solid statement. So I take that back. They're not afraid of Trump. They're afraid of you because you would be the ones to put Trump back in office. You're the ones who put Trump in office the first time. So yes, that is correct. I stand corrected. They're afraid of you. That's why they're trying to control you. That's why they're trying to set you up. That's why they're putting you on no-fly lists, censoring your social media posts, throwing you in solitary confinement, wanting to spy on your text messages, wanting to spy on your bank accounts, labeling you domestic terrorists if you stand up, labeling you, tar and feathering you, creating fear so that more people don't join this movement. That's what it is. If you can just call them the worst things, Nazis, domestic terrorists, white supremacists, insurrectionists, extremists, then normies who are going to be political refugees because people like de Blasio and their mandates ruined their city and made their neighborhood more dangerous, more unsafe. Biden, who's not building back better, not canceling student loan debt like he promised, not dropping gas prices, is not shutting down the virus. When all of those promises fail and the whole narrative that he's the best guy for the country collapses, those people are going to be looking for a place to go. They're going to be looking for people who share their views, who can see what they see. And guess what? They may or may not join because they're just going to hear, don't go over to that gathering. It's a bunch of right-wing extremists. They're dangerous. They're violent. They hate black people and Muslims and Jews. That's the narrative they continue to smear. And that's why the optics of the massive march in New York City are just complete media blackout, because then you would have to show that there were blacks, Muslims, Jewish people, Filipinos, Thai, everybody standing together with the FDNY and the NYPD marching through New York City. Those optics right there destroy almost every leftist narrative that is prevailing today. So they cannot allow it to happen. And when people wake up, when people start to see that things are significantly worse since Biden took office, not even just worse since Trump was in office, but since Biden took over, everything accelerated and got worse. So when people see that, they would naturally want to go find another group or people that, or news outlets like RSBN. They want to go find their, I guess you could say, tribe, maybe, but maybe not at the same time, because I don't believe in that, but whatever. They would look to go join a movement. We'll just call it that, a movement. They want to be a part of a movement to help restore some balance, some truth, some sanity in our country. So that's why they have to label that movement all of those things that I mentioned: white supremacists, domestic terrorists, extremists, insurrectionists, racists, bigots, homophobes, science deniers, dregs of society, deplorables. They have to dehumanize you. They have to hate you. They have to make you out to just be the scum of the earth, anti-vaxxers, dangerous super spreaders, all these things. Well, they're guilty of all of those things, right? Racist policies, segregation, schools, discrimination, Jim Crow, medical Jim Crow happening all around the country. Just empowering criminals, letting them out of jail, giving them a slap on the wrist, decriminalizing shoplifting, all those things that make average normies go, hey, wait, what the hell is going on? I didn't sign up for this. I didn't vote for this. What's going on? And then they look to Congress and see, oh, they're trying to pass transgender bills. That's not lowering gas prices. Why is our military woke? What the hell's going on? And now you're telling me Dave Chappelle is see, it just takes a bunch of sequences of events to happen for normies to wake up. And that's why I stay on YouTube, because there's an off chance that I might just reach a handful of them. I definitely won't reach them on Rumble. No disrespect to the alternative social media, but there's not normies over there. I couldn't go to a single person that I know and say, hey, do you have Rumble installed on your phone? They'll be like, what is Rumble? You see my point? You got to meet people where they are. If they don't know about Rumble, they're not going to know to go and check out this alternative social media, because YouTube and Facebook, they're the ones suppressing the truth. They're learning and catching on now, which is why some of your favorite content creators are still on YouTube. Ask yourself why. Aside of the fact that they're making money on YouTube, we're able to make a living on this platform. So it's not all bad. This is actually my favorite platform to use. I mean, think about it. It's very robust. It's user-friendly. There's a lot of content on here. Learn how to tie a tie, how to fix a sink, how to change a flat tire, whatever you want to find is on YouTube. But also, normies are on YouTube. So it's important to stay here to reach them. All right, let me read a few more comments. I'm happy to announce that I have never owned and never have used a cell phone. Wow. But you're using the internet. So, I mean, I guess you're not completely in the last century. This is good. I'm not being mean or anything. I'm just saying, like, hey, you're on the internet. That's good. So you don't have a cell phone for whatever reason, to each their own, but you're still using the internet. That's good. So I'm guessing this is a laptop, a tablet. I don't know what you're using to watch the stream, but God bless you and thank you for watching. Oops. I got to put that on. I have this thing where my phone connects to the computer. I need to actually mute that. I don't need y'all knowing who's calling me. Let me put on the do not disturb. Anyway, Mike Nificent, what do you think? What do you think they're going after Floyd Mayweather for saying he doesn't take pictures with any man having their nails painted? Hold on, let me read that again. What do you think about them going after Floyd Mayweather for saying he doesn't take pictures with any man having their nails painted? I didn't hear about that. The only thing I heard from Floyd Mayweather was his video in support of Kyrie Irving. Floyd Mayweather saying that they gave us choice in the United States of America. You have choice, but now they're taking that choice away. That's what I saw. So I don't know anything. I don't even want to focus on that stupid thing. I mean, they're going to say whatever they say about Floyd Mayweather. They're just going to attack him because he stands for freedom. He believes in this country. No matter what you think about his politics, otherwise, I don't know. I would like to think Floyd Mayweather, if anything, is more conservative. I mean, he endorsed Trump. He talked about Trump in a very positive way when it was not popular at all. This was probably before even I knew about Trump. He talked positively about Trump. He stood up for Kyrie Irving. So that's why they're saying, well, look at what Floyd Mayweather said about these people. Yeah, so what? That's what I say. I don't even want to give that my energy. When I took my law classes, the head of the law department said, never use a cell phone and never join a social media site. Yeah, that was probably good advice. But I mean, because I think that a lot of social media companies, and of course, this is just speculation. I can't actually really prove it, but I probably could prove it if I did enough research. I think social media companies, specifically Facebook, are masquerading as social media platforms, but in reality, they're government agencies. In fact, the day that Facebook was announced was also the same day that a government CIA project was shut down. Or was it CIA, Pentagon? I don't remember which one it was. There was a government agency that shut down a project that was eerily similar to a social media platform. And then Facebook was announced. And here we are, a decade and a half later. How long has Facebook been around? 15 years or something? something like that. Somebody said fake book. Yeah, I don't care. Fake book, fascist book, fake. I just call it Facebook. It's just I don't play into the like names of stuff. Just call it Facebook, whatever. Who's still on MySpace? Guilty. I'm on MySpace, guys. Follow me on MySpace. I don't know how to access my page. I haven't accessed it in probably 10 years, but I think my page is still there. Mike, what was up with the Twix? That was really in their ad. Oh, I was supposed to cover that. See, that's the thing. I forgot to pull up a link for it. That's what I usually do. I use the tabs on my internet to keep track of where I am. So Twix put out an ad, and I don't really know if I can play it because I think I might get hit with like a copyright strike or something like that. I just don't want to chance it at all. But I can pull it up here so you guys can see. Twix put out an ad, a Halloween ad recently. And it's like 2 minutes long. So I can just kind of like narrate it for you guys because I don't want to play the sound or anything like that. I think they can even hit you with copyright just over the images. I've had that happen before. But anyway, this boy answers the door wearing a dress, and a witch is there. A witch is at the door saying, I'm your babysitter or whatever. He's like, I don't need a babysitter, but you see him clearly. He's in a dress. I'll make it full screen so you guys can see it a little better. So he's talking to the witch and they're just making small talk. What's your favorite color? Black and all that stuff. Fast forward through this because it's 2 minutes long. I really don't want to narrate the entire thing. But at the end, it shows kids making fun of him. Here's kids pulling up saying, why are you dressed like that? It's not even Halloween anymore. So just social engineering. That's what this is. Emasculating a boy by putting him in a dress and then also making him weak when kids call him names. And these are girls, questioning him about what he's wearing. So he runs in the house. Then they're in the car here. And she's like, do you want to wear the dress? And he's like, yes. And then the irony of the whole thing, they forget to sell a candy bar. No candy bar was even pictured in this commercial. You wouldn't even know this was about Twix if they didn't flash it at the very beginning. This is social engineering, ideological subversion. This is demoralization. This is promoting the agenda to destroy the minds of kids. I want my country back. We need to turn back to God. We need to turn back to the principles that made this country what it is. And no, that's not intolerance. There's a difference between celebrating diversity and tolerating delusion and using kids to promote your agenda. So yes, they used a real boy for this commercial, put him in a dress to promote their agenda. And then at the end, happy Halloween, says Twix. So that's it. That's it in a nutshell. And I tweeted, that's a weird way to sell candy because they didn't sell candy. They sold you on the idea that boys can and should be wearing dresses, and it's completely okay. And it's not just about them standing up for the existing boys and young men that want to live their life as girls. They're trying to promote the idea that more kids should do it. So like if a boy put on a dress or put on his mom's high heels and walked around the house, the idea that like, instead of, hey, take those off, these are the shoes that you should wear, or here's some shoes that are more comfortable. It's, you can wear those shoes if you want. Let's see if we can get some shoes in your size. What else do you want to wear? Do you want to try makeup? Do you want to put on a dress? They make dresses in your size. That's very different than trying to protect people who are already living their life a certain way. Because I don't have a problem with how people want to live their life. My problem is when they try to make other people adopt that lifestyle, when they try to make you conform to their new terms and pronouns and all of that, that's when I have a problem. And when you use kids in a sick way, this is so disgusting, using kids to promote this agenda. I can't even have it on my screen anymore. It's so sick. Sick people, sick society. That's what's going on. So yeah, maybe don't eat Twix. Maybe you shouldn't eat it anyway because of all the disgusting ingredients, even though it's a delicious candy bar. I'm not going to lie. I've had Twix before. But maybe don't promote them now. Maybe don't buy their stuff. Don't make them richer. Same with Oreo. We talked about Oreo cookies yesterday. Ben and Jerry's. Props to Ben and Jerry's. You know what? Props to them. They're just fully out of the political closet. They're just full on political activists with their ice cream. Good. I respect it. I respect Ben and Jerry's for being what they are. When you go to the store and you go to the ice cream aisle, you can see now they put all kind of political messages on their cartons of ice cream. Good. It's better to know where you stand. I think it's dumb because you alienate half of your would-be customers by endorsing one political message when your job is to just sell freaking ice cream. It's just dumb business model. Really dumb. Really dumb. But hey, parallel economies, that's what's happening right now. So if you're going to have some woke ice cream, you might as well have some MAGA ice cream or something to go along with it. I mean, it just is what it is. It's too much to just say ice cream. Anybody can eat it. We don't care about BLM. We don't care about MAGA. We don't care. We just want to sell you some delicious ice cream. It's just too much. They all have to engage in politics, and all left-wing politics too. Get woke, go broke. Homemade candy is also delicious and fun to make with your kids. I think that's what we're really seeing. I think the shift is happening. Even if you take politics out of food and the companies that sell this food, I think there's a growing consciousness of people who are choosing healthier ingredients, organic ingredients. And I think those kind of changes are good. I think that's good. People using natural ingredients, making their own food at home, making their own candy. I think that's good because not only are you promoting health, you're using less additives, toxins, chemicals, FDA approved stuff that causes cancer. You're taking money out of companies. You're taking your money away from companies that sell that kind of garbage. So it's a win-win. You get healthier products, or at least less, what's the word I'm looking for? It's less bad for you. It's not as bad for you. You're doing that. You're eating healthier, but then you're also taking money away from companies that promote sick agendas and also sell you horrible, unhealthy products. Win-win for me. My 7 kids played dress up all the time. The boys never wanted to wear a dress. They stole their dad's clothes and shoes. I remember my 3-year-old wearing his boots that came up to his butt. I mean, kids will be kids. So you're going to have kids put, like, a little boy might put on high heels, like little boy, like 4 or something. I don't know, because he doesn't know. He doesn't know that that's what women wear, but that's a teachable moment right there. It's that moment where you say, here's some shoes that you should wear. These are, girls wear these. That makes you a bigot. You are such a bigot if you say that. That is such a bigoted thing to say. If you tell a little boy that happened to put on his mom's high heels, if you tell him, hey, don't wear those shoes. Here's some shoes that are more comfortable. These are for boys. You can run in these and play in these. Let's go get you some shoes. That's a better way to go about it than say, these are too big for you, Timmy. Let's go to the store and get you some smaller high heels. And while we're at it, we can get you some stockings, a dress, some barrettes for your hair. Put on some lipstick. We can experiment with this, Timmy. That's a sick person that does that. Robbing a child of their innocence and setting them up for failure ultimately. I mean, because the majority of people don't live their life like this. And again, I'm not against the trans community. I'm not against the LGBT community. I'm just saying the majority of human beings are not binary, non-binary, and like trans and all these different pronouns. That doesn't mean the people that are that way should be treated with disrespect, but we also shouldn't have to bend everything in society and just change it all for one narcissist. Everyone needs to use these terms when they address me, or they're this, this, and this. And I'm going to scream at the top of my lungs on TikTok until every human being addresses me by these pronouns. Sorry, it's not going to happen. You'll live a miserable life trying to control the speech of other people. So you set your kid up for failure when you confuse them at an early age, and when they go to the school and they're the only boy wearing a dress. I mean, they're going to be treated differently. It's going to be harder for them to make friends because it's not natural. It's not normal. It's not what people do. If it was normal, there would be a whole bunch of people throughout history that did this, a whole bunch of people. But no, it wasn't until about 5 minutes ago they started promoting this agenda. I kind of got on a little tangent there, guys. But that was I just had to go in a little bit on Twix and all these companies and schools and TV shows and cartoons promoting this evil agenda to sexualize and promote degeneracy to kids. My bigoted masculinity. I guess I'm just a proud bigot. I'll just wear it like a badge of honor at this point. I will be a bigoted father. I shouldn't have said that. Now, Merrick Garland might actually send the feds to my house because I am a domestic terror threat. See, like it's easier to just embrace all these terms because they have no meaning. I might as well just label myself a white supremacist now. I mean, I wouldn't be the first. Candace Owens is also one of my fellow white supremacists. Larry Elder is one of my fellow white supremacists. I mean, it has no meaning, you guys. There's no meaning. So just embrace it. Yes, white supremacist, domestic terrorist, science denier, bigot, xenophobe, all those things. That's me. Yes. I have to scroll up a little bit because you guys are commenting on everything that I'm saying right now. And I want to kind of move on from that a little bit. I said everything about it. Good observations, Mike. Butt book sucks. I assume you're referring to Facebook. Man, the creative names that people come up with because they don't want to say Facebook, it's a little bit fun. Here, let's laugh. Here, I want to show you guys something. Let me go back to Twitter real quick. Oh man, what's this guy's name? The guy running for governor. Is it Terry McCoffey, whatever his name is. Here is this man trying to show you how much rhythm he has. And I can't play it because it was actual music, but look at this. Vote for me. Oh, this isn't even the worst of it, is it? No. Oh, it's so cringe. Look at me, I'm relatable. I mean, that's not even the bad one. Oh, but this was bad. I do have to mute these because I mean they're playing music, so I don't want to get the copyright. But yeah, hey Virginia, vote for this guy. Vote for him because he can dance, just like Stephen Colbert. Oh, this is the one I was looking for. Oh man, it's so bad. It's so bad, and I guess I don't know if he's gonna win or not in Virginia. But I just had to point out the cringe. It's like Stephen Colbert when he was dancing with a bunch of dudes dressed as vaccines. It's cringe. Doesn't resonate with the majority, I'll tell you that much. Anyway, we're at an hour and 8 minutes, so you guys know I normally wrap right at an hour. So we're just over that time. Potato didn't win. I agree. Hunter Biden's dad, he did not win. But what he did do is spread his germs to about 80 million people. So somebody kept asking about the Floyd Mayweather thing. I addressed that. Mike's email, MikeNificent813@gmail.com is the best place to send articles or news stories that you want me to cover. There's probably like 50 things a day I could cover, if not more, but I have to narrow it down to like, I think I'm even going to narrow it down more. At first, when I started doing these daily live streams, I was doing like 15 to 20 topics, and then I wouldn't be able to I would only be able to breeze past each one. Now I'm just going to cover like 3 big ones and then a handful of other ones because it's better use of time and more efficient. Obviously, I can dive into those topics a little bit more. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. I'm wrapping up right now. I got to get ready for my little guy to come home. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Make sure that you give this stream a thumbs up. If you're new, subscribe and smash that bell notification so you don't miss any one of my live streams or any other topic that I cover. Be on the lookout for something I'm going to post on my second channel here momentarily. Some of you know what it is, but if you're not subbed to my second channel, Mike Nificent 813, this is a good time to go over there and do it. Again, make sure that not just that you subscribe, but that you hit the bell notification. That's the only way that you'll know when I post new content. I'm subscribed to so many content creators. I never see their stuff unless I have notifications turned on. It never just pops up in my timeline. So if you like my content, you don't want to miss it, you have to have notifications set. All right. God bless you guys. I will catch you in the next stream.